Kim with Art Classes for Kids, and I'm going to be teaching you a project with Blackwing Foundation's Pathways to Creativity. This project is a drawing project. It's an abstract drawing project, actually, inspired by the famous artist Jim Lambie, who you see right here. And we're going to be making something a little bit like this. We're going to be learning about contour and about installation art. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure you have all the supplies you need to make this awesome project. The first thing you're going to need is going to be a piece of white paper. You're going to need a piece of black paper too to mount it on afterwards. You're going to need a pencil, a set of colored pencils, a label, and a glue stick, and a pair of scissors. Now, if you just gather up all the things you need, we'll get ready to get started. Be sure to pause the video here and gather your supplies if you haven't already. Then unpause when you're ready to begin. Now, the first thing we're going to do is grab our label, which says Colored Pencil and Marker Drawing inspired by the art of Jim Lambie. And you can put your name on it, first and last name, and today's date. Now, it's so important that you have your date on this because one day you're going to want to look back and see when you made this and figure out how old you were when you made that work of art. Set this aside, and I want you to grab your white piece of paper and your colored pencils, which you can take out of the box. That we'll be using. I won't be using the white one. It doesn't show up so good on the white paper. And you're going to need the scissors. Okay, before we get started creating, I want to tell you a little bit more about Jim Lambie and the project we're going to be making. Now, Jim Lambie is a British artist. He's from Glasgow, which is in Scotland, and he's an artist who makes art with bright colored stripes. What he does with those bright colored stripes is that he takes vinyl and he uses that instead of paint to create these installation works. Well, what is the installation work? Well, instead of being art that hangs on a wall that's like a painting or a drawing, what he does is he creates art inside of a room, and then the room becomes the work of art. So you see he has stripes going down these steps, following the edges of the room, going around objects. He's like contouring the room with stripes. Now you can see another image that gives you a better view, and this view here, or you can see it in my overhead camera, is of a room that has 4 columns that maybe are supports for the room, and then the room has different bends in it. The walls aren't just a rectangle or a square. So he's taking his stripes and he's going around, and then he's going around these columns, and he's creating new shapes. The artist Jim Lambie says what he likes to do with his art is he likes the people that walk into the rooms and into his art to experience the feeling that this room feels different and this color is emitting like an energy or something that's physically making you feel different than if you just walked into a white room. He also does things just like this, like we showed you before, where he's taking the stripes down stairs or down a 3-dimensional object and not just a flat floor. Here's an image of a child standing on top of one of his artworks. See, it's kind of cool. You can just stand on the art. And here is the corner of a room. You can see this. I'll show you this in the overhead view. You can see where it goes around the edges of the room. Now, the shapes that it's creating are called the contour, because a contour is a shape that is the outline of a space or an object or something three-dimensional. You can see this, you see the symmetry of it going around a wall over and over and repeating. Looks like that. So hopefully you're getting an idea of what we're talking about, contour. But now what we're going to do is we're going to make our contour, let's just leave this one here. We're going to make our contour on a piece of paper as if we were looking down into a room. So you see this? Maybe if this had two columns coming up and we were going around it, it would be this shape. Now we're going to create our own shape by cutting out a little chunk off each of the four sides of this rectangular paper. So take your scissors and randomly make a cut and maybe make one more cut, and you have a little triangle taken out of your paper. See? So we're going to take that away. Now that's our negative space. Maybe I'm going to make a curve cut on this side. Like that. Maybe one side I'm going to do a three-sided shape. You see? And I have one more side to go. But if you're ready, grab your scissors, pick up your white paper, and cut a chunk out of the first side of your four-sided rectangle. I'm going to smooth out one of my lines while I'm waiting. Now you want your cuts pretty smooth, but I know you guys haven't been cutting very long, so you haven't mastered that cutting quite yet. Now cut a second side. Any shape you want. Can just be a two-sided shape, could be a three-sided shape, could be a curve. And when you're ready, cut the third side. Like I said, it could be two-sided, three-sided, zigzagged. Now I'm going on to my fourth one, and I'm going to have a narrow shape. Like this. So I've got my four sides cut. You could even cut a corner off if you'd like. Now I won't be needing these scraps, so I'm just going to put those aside. Next, what I'm going to be doing is making two shapes in the middle. I'm going to make two circles, so it gives the appearance of maybe I was going around a column. So I'm going to pick any color I want out of here. I'm picking this purple. I'm going to make a circle here that's small, and I'm going to make a circle here that's bigger. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Now your turn. I want you to make two different circles and make them two different sizes. Once you've done that, let's make our circle a little thicker by making a line around it and filling it in. And now I'm going to make a line around this one. And then I'll fill in the space between those two lines. Now you want it nice and solid, and if you want it bright, you'll have to just press your colored pencil harder. So I started out with two circles and cuts on four sides of my white rectangle. Next, I'm going to pick a color. Now maybe you want a color scheme. Maybe you only want it to be warm colors, which would be like yellow, orange, red, and this yellow orange, maybe some brown. Maybe you want it cool colors. Maybe you want it blues, purples, and greens. Maybe you want it every color of the rainbow. That's your choice. I think I'm going to go with the cool colors because I want to try something new. So I've showed you one with all different colors, and now I'm going to do one where I limit it to 5 colors. But that's a choice you're gonna make, and that's what's gonna make it special. Not only to you, but everyone's will look a little different then. So I will take another color, and now we're going to do a contour of this shape as if it was the contour of a room of an installation. So I'm going to go all the way around my shape, the same distance from the edge of the paper all the way around. Whoop. So now I have this shape with the green line right near the edge of the paper. Now I'm going to color it in. Now this is the part that takes a while, but you go at your own pace. If you need more time, pause the video and turn it back on when you're ready to do the next step. Now be careful when you're on the edges that you don't go off the edge so much. Now if you're just learning how to color solid, you want to overlap the lines going back and forth so you don't have a lot of white space like that. You want to fill in all your white spaces so you have a nice solid colored in area. Now you also might have a more comfortable angle of making lines and filling in and coloring. So if you do, just turn your paper till it's comfortable. Whoop. And you keep going till you make it all the way around. Now this is going to be our biggest stripe of the contour because it's the one on the most outer edge. And that's the biggest space. Now you might need to sharpen your pencil often if you're wearing it down because that was kind of a lot to color. Now you can have skinny stripes or wide stripes. It's up to you, or thin or wide stripes. And you can alternate. They don't all have to be the same width, meaning the space that you're filling in doesn't have to be as wide. So I'm going to move on to the next thing. Now I'm going to pick a new color and I'm going to do the same thing. I can have it thick or thin. I'm going to go a little thicker than the first one. And I'm going to go around. So whenever my line bends, I turn and bend with it. I curve around there, trying to keep the same distance between the green and my new dark purple line. So now I'm going to fill that space in that's in between the line I just made and the first one I colored in that was nearest the edge. I want to make sure I've got all my little white spaces in between filled in. Notice how I just keep moving my paper around because I want my hand to be comfortable. Now try to be neat on the edges. You don't want it to be like really messy like that. You want it to be neat. I just keep turning my paper and making straight lines. hopefully all of you loved color and make cool art. Okay. Okay, now look, I've got my second contour stripe colored in. It happens to be the same color as my circles. And now at any time you can start going around the circles too. So I'm going to pick a new color. Okay, I'm picking light blue. Now I'm going around this with light blue and around this with light blue, and I'm going to fill it in. It's harder to stay smooth around a circle, but I know you can do it. Make sure you're coloring nice and solid. Okay, so now I've got the blue. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat this around my contour. I'm doing this one a little thinner than the others, just so that it looks different. Whoops, that was kind of a funky one. But I can fix it. I can even that out. There's no mistakes in art. Okay, so we're gonna start filling in our next one. And now remember, if I'm moving a little faster than you, no worries. All you gotta do is pause the video, go at your own pace, and when you're ready to join me again for the next thing, you just push play. Trying to stay in my lines. Some art, I stay in the lines. Some art, I purposely don't stay in the lines. Just depends on what I'm trying to achieve. Okay, I just almost had my pencil roll off the table, but I caught it. Then I kind of pushed my table around a little. Okay. Making my way around with this light blue. Now, once you do 2 or 3 rows of stripes, you start getting the hang of it. So then you can just relax and color. Take your time. See, now mine's looking a little bit like this. So I'm going to a new color of my warm colors. I'm going to a dark green. That was in my packet. So now my circle has bumped into my outside contour line. So now this all becomes one outline shape. You see, I don't go all the way around the circle anymore. I stop and go here. Oh, I'm getting a new shape. So now I'm creating new shapes within my shape. Oh, that was kind of funky. Let me fix that one. Okay, so this is my new shape. I'll go around and color this one in. Now, if any of you have ever been to see installation art, it's usually in an art gallery and mostly in art museums. There are lots of famous artists who do art installations. Some of them are interactive, where you get to participate in what's happening inside the room. And some of them, you simply walk in and observe the environment that you're in and see if it feels different, because the artist has created something unique that they want you to experience. Then the art becomes the experience. It's visual and also physical experience. Sometimes it even has sound that goes with it. or lighting that changes. There are artists who you walk into an empty room and you don't even know where the art is because it's just the feeling of the light changing. But these are awesome, these contour-lined rooms with bright colors. This artist, Jim Lambie, besides being a visual artist, he is also a musician and a DJ. A DJ spins music usually on vinyl albums, but sometimes it's all done on a computer with software. Okay. Next, we've gotten this far. So now we have a new shape here. Now let's do the inside of some of these small shapes. Let's go inside this shape with light blue and do a thin stripe. Only do this once your shapes bump into each other, then you're creating new shapes. So now I'm going to have a blue here. I'm going to do a skinny blue in here. And in this shape, it's almost like a triangle. So now I've started something new in these. Now I'm going to take light green and I'm going to go inside that shape and use that same color over here on this kind of square-ish, diamond-ish, kind of like a kite shape. Do you see shapes inside of your art that remind you of other things? Okay, I've got that. I'm going to put light green in here. Oh, I think I'll put a really skinny light green in here. Okay, now I'm going to take and do light green in this part. So I'm going to make that line, kind of inlining the contour. See, I've done that. Now I'm going to fill that in. Wow, getting closer. Now, what color do I want to use next? Okay, I haven't used this color, which I think is a dark blue. Let me test it out in this triangle. Oh yeah, it looks like a dark blue. See, I can either make a thick area or I can make the line and then fill in. Okay, I'll go inside here. Keep turning my paper so that I can color quicker and more comfortably. And now I'm going to inline this area. So this area, that area is pretty narrow. So I'm just going to fill it in. Like, let me come out here and go around. Whoops, that was kind of off. Let me fix that. That. See how I filled that little spot in right there? And now I'm going to continue this blue. Wow, look at it now. I'm getting close to almost filling it in. So now I'm going to go with this purple color, I think. Now I'm going to make a thick one, because I haven't made a thick stripe in a while, or a thick contour. I'm just going to fill that one in. This will be a big, thick one. And this one. Okay, let me get that line going. Whoa, got that one done. Okay, now it looks like this. Okay, now I think I want to use light blue again, but I want to make it look different. So now I'm going to not press so hard. So it looks like a lighter shade of blue. So I'm going to make this skinny in here. Now it's creating a new shape. So now I'm going to fill this in lightly. So how hard you press is going to change the value of that color. That means the dark or lightness of the color. So now I have that light blue. I think I'm going to go back to the dark green, and I'm going to do a skinny line, but I'm going to do it dark. So I'm going to go like this and make it skinny or thin, but dark. So I'm trying all different widths of my stripes, and I'm trying some bright and some more, a little more pastel. Oh, I just broke my pencil. Well, that just tells me it's time to stop using that color. Okay, and now I'm going to do the dark blue, and I'm going to press really hard and make it dark. Wow, now I've really filled it in. Now I've moved pretty fast because I wanted to make sure you got to see how it turned out. But what I want to do is I want to go back and check and see if I have, whoops, any big white spots that I could fill in. So I'm looking around and going, oh, that's kind of light there. Maybe I'll fill that in. Maybe I could fix that corner a little nicer. And then when I think it looks pretty good, and I think I'm finished with my contour, I take a look at it and it looks like this. It can kind of go any way I'd like it to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue it to the black paper background so that I can really see these outline shapes well. So I'm going to take my black paper and my glue stick, first I'm going to glue the label on. Now you can put it any direction you want, because if you want a horizontal, meaning a wide work of art, you can turn this and put your label this way. Or if you want a vertical, you'd put it the opposite way, the tall way. Once I've got that on here, I'm gonna flip it over, and I think I want this pointy part on the top. Now I'm gonna take this away from my black paper because I don't wanna get glue all over my black paper. And I'm just gonna glue it close to the edge, all the way around. It's like I'm painting a glue stripe around it. Maybe just put a little in the middle, a little X, put the lid back on that glue stick. And I decided I wanted the sharp little point at the top, and I'm gonna look and I'm gonna see if my corners are the same distance from the black corner on each one of these corners has the same amount of space between it. Then I rub it down, and ta-da! This is how it looks. So this is how mine came out, and I'm wondering how yours looks. I'd love to see a picture of it. So if you get yours done, and if your teacher wants to take a picture of yours and all your classes and post it on Instagram, you could always tag it with Art Classes for Kids, and I'll probably see it. So now check mine out. It's all those cool colors. This one might be a little more like yours with a rainbow of different colors, or maybe you did all warm, or you just did 2 colors and alternated. Those are the decisions you get to make it your own. Now, I hope you had fun making this project, and until I see you on the next project, keep making cool art.